Alright guys, I'm probably gonna give it a couple minutes, let everybody join up. I'm recording this class too, so if you guys have to hop out at any time, this class will be recorded. Well, shoot, hopefully. I tried recording class before and it just didn't record, so. But I'm recording this. I'll probably give it a few more seconds. What's good, Dylan? How are you doing, bro? If you guys have any questions at some point as well, make sure you guys drop them at the chat at the top right corner of the Discord. If you guys are on PC, it says show chat. There you go. But today we'll probably just be going over levels courses. With when it comes to levels, I usually like to use the 15-minute chart to get my confirmations. But lately, these past few months, I've been using the 5-minute chart as well. As the 15-minute chart, the 5-minute chart, just in case I'm looking at something like staircase or invalidation for reversal. Those are going to be the main things I look at. On the 5-minute is breakage of higher lows, and we'll describe that as well. I'm gonna delete all these levels I currently have drawn up. We're gonna redraw them up. I'm probably not gonna draw up as many levels to downside like I usually do, but we're gonna be going over more. Try to go over a little bit more in detail on things we look at on a day-to-day basis, intraday, that makes us determine we're gonna go one way or another. Not everybody's right, but you can try to be right as much as possible. So, all right, and I think that's a good amount of time for people to join up. So when it comes to the 15-minute chart, guys, when it comes to levels, guys, I usually like to go on the 15-minute chart first. I take off every indicator off my screen, have a clean chart, try to make it look at as easy as possible for me to check out. For me personally, I don't have like having too much noise on my chart. I like having usually just levels. Levels usually come with my demand and supply zone and just a few indicators to try to show me the intraday price action and what's going on. But when it comes to drawing up levels, I usually like to start it off on the 15-minute chart. On the 15-minute chart, kind of can base off a range that I'm kind of looking at. By looking at the range, I usually start off with white levels. And the range, I usually like to look at every single 15-minute open and close to see where exactly it stayed above. This candle right here opened at 75. This candle right here opened at 74. I'm going to draw this up right here for the meantime. I usually start off by drawing up a level, and then as I draw up more levels, I usually go back to previous price action to determine how correct my level is, if I have to correct it in any way or adjust it. But the first one I'm going to drop right there is 660.74 for the upside. Since we're at all-time highs right here, I'm just going to go to the 5-minute chart real quick, um, just to see what was the highest 5-minute candle, which looks like it was this one right here. $664.39. This is going to be the first range I noticed right here based off the price action from Friday and on Thursday. Between we get the 15-minute close or 5-minute close. I would like the 15-minute close confirmation above 664.39 to continue upside, and likewise for the way downside sit below 660.74. The 660.74, I might change it up in a little bit depending on how I look at this previous price action beforehand. But when it comes to all-time highs, you guys are not really gonna have like an exact level sometimes till we get a lot more data in these recent price actions in these recent zones that we have right here. With my levels, with the Y levels, I usually like to keep them around $2 plus $3 separation usually. So I'm gonna just see which what I like better over here. 658.19. Right now, what I'm doing with these Y levels right now is I'm just finding my key pivots right now. After I find the key pivots that I like, I'm probably gonna delete these lows right here, find these fresh new levels. But after I put down all the key pivots I like, that's when I move on to the red levels, which my red levels are supply and demand zones around my key pivots. From 658.19. Keep in mind, guys, if you guys have any questions, make sure you guys let me know in the chat. I'm just gonna try to explain these as easy as possible to understand, but below 658.19, I would say I like to move down to uh, below 658.19. I like to move down to 654.38. I did mention that I like to have my levels sometimes $3 plus separated. That's for good price action zones. Sometimes I would have to make my levels $2 separation. It just depends on how the price action is moving in those respective zones that we're looking at. Below 654.38. 650.86. Once we have more data like in these ranges right here, it makes it a little bit easier to try to find levels. Right now we're just pretty much finding putting down our levels based off the previous price action we had, and we haven't had too much price action in these zones to determine the exact areas that we're going to place these at, but they're going to be as close to these areas as possible. So we also got to look at stuff like pre-market, see what levels pre-market's telling us and stuff like that when it comes to all-time highs. Below 650.86. Let's see. Opens 67, 59, 59. Sometimes placing levels takes a little bit of time because sometimes we just have to look at every single candle open. These candles right here are 59, and then once we notice that these these work right here, we got to make sure every single one works as well. And so far, it looks like every time we hold this 654.59 level, push up. Every time we hold the 654.59 level, try to hold it and push up again. I like that as my next key pivot. gonna probably just try to find levels to right there. Then after we get all the levels to 633.71, we'll go over some day trading tips and tricks, like things that we looked at for on Monday to confirm our upside move and stuff like that. On Friday, I mean. But below 647.59, I would like to move down to 78, open, 73, open, 52, 50. I think I'm liking this level right here a little bit better, so I can line up with this 15 over here. Let me. Open 77, open 76. Sometimes when there's chop in some areas, it makes it a little bit takes a little bit more time to try to configure which levels work best. So right now I'm just going through every single candle, every single open and close on the 15 minute, see what I like best in these zones. 17 open. I'm gonna use this 15-minute candle right here. This 15-minute candle, I can see it as if we get a retest right here. We hold this open right here on this 15-minute. We can continue seeing. We can continue to see for a reversal. The thing is that I'm kind of not liking how it's a little bit too far away. I might make these levels a little bit closer than the other levels to show me that there's a little bit more chop in these in this zone over here. So I'm gonna put open 87, open 88, open 92. I'm just gonna avoid this chop zone over here. After this chop zone, this level shows a little bit more clearly. 78 open. I got this level at 79. I should move it down a cent. So 647.59 down to 643.78. Below 643.78. I'm gonna get on the 15 on the 5 minute chart right here to because I do notice that the 5 minute has another candle right here. That the 15 minutes not showing right here. Just to push this level down a few more cents, and I'm just gonna compare it to the previous price action, see how I like it a bit better or worse. Open 55, open 47. I'm noticing that this candle right here, 47. From 643.78, we like to move down to 640.47. I think it matches best if I just move this level a few more cents down to match this open right here. And ever since right here, we hold below it, stay below it, push down, hold above it, push up. Below 640.47. It might be six. No, that's $7. Let me see. Below 640.47, 630.730. I like these levels a little bit closer because in these ranges right here, there's a little bit more chop that we've been able to see. And then below 637.50, I'm gonna check how if I still like the 633.71 level. Open 634.41. Alright, 634.41. Open 634.43. Okay. 637.50. I like to move down to 634.26. Alright, now that I got all my key pivots out the way, from here I move on to my supply and demand zones. When it comes to supply and demand zones, it's usually just a red level I draw up. Some people can draw up like an actual zone on TradingView, but I usually just draw up red and hold on. I got no color on my TradingView. Give me one sec, guys. I gotta figure out which one's red. Bro, I'm clicking the same one. My bad, guys. I'm not that great with I'm not that great with the PC, guys. Unk is getting old. But that's pretty much what I mean right here. Like in situations like this, we would see us kind of right here didn't get the full test of the to keep it right here, but we seen that as soon as we can hold up to our above our demand, we usually like to get the push back to our supply. In this case, our supply looks like it's right here. I'm gonna go back in a little bit and double check all these. I'm just going based off the most recent price action that we've had. And right here we push into supply, stayed above supply, giving us the push to key pivot, reject key pivot zone, but stay inside supply and push back above right here. And then in this case right here, we got the push above key pivot, couldn't couldn't stay back above. We got the close above key pivot, pushed above key pivot above demand, couldn't stay above demand. Got the retest of key pivot, pushed back above, close once again above demand zone, and pushed back into our supply zone, which in this case right here, we got the rejection of supply zone right here. Right here we got it. Right here we close inside supply zone, giving us the retest of the key pivot right here. Right here the levels just look a little bit close because we're really zoomed in, but you guys know a few dollars on ODTs can get you good percentages. Hey bro, I was wondering how come you don't live trade throughout the day, or at least cause then I get really sidetracked. Some people like live trading, and then some people work during when I'm putting out a trade and just prefer me dropping a lot of charts. So and I've been enjoying doing that as well. But I wouldn't mind getting back on live every once in a while. But here, right here's a really good demonstration of supply and demand zones. Right here we got the push above key pivot. We retested supply, can't close back above supply. Reject supply. Start pushing back into demand zone below key pivot. Close below key pivot. Same thing. Held demand. Push back into supply. Held above key pivot. Pushed above key pivot. Held above key pivot again. Since we already got our levels, I'm just gonna use the most recent price action we've had to get our supply and demand zones off these levels. So my demand zone above 640.47 is between 641.59 and 641.41 and 640.47. Demand zone, supply zone 643.78 till 643.78 to 642.68. Actually, 67. 643.78 till 645.13 to 643.78 demand. Supply 647.59 to 646.69. And you guys get the gist of it right here. Which the way I pretty much look at it is kind of like a little ping pong game, tennis game, right here. We break below, the game is over here. The back court hits it, front court hits it, front court and this side hits it, stays between like a ping pong game, holds above it, pushes through the back court, and hits the back end of the back court. Easiest way to describe it for me. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, I know I'm not much of a teacher, but I'm just trying to make it seem as simple as possible for you guys to understand. 647.59 till 647.59 to 648.80. 649.86 to 650.86. Sometimes the areas between the supply and demand zones are a little bit tighter. Sometimes there's a lot more space in between. Sometimes I just use this open areas to kind of give us the price range that we're getting throughout the day. In this case right here, if I've seen the price action just been slow throughout the day, I'm if I see the break of the demand, I'm guessing as long as we follow along with our 9 EMA on the 5 and the 15 time frame, we're bound to get our supply retest up here. So it helps you find ranges and gives you good price targets. 650.86, 652.11 to 650.86, 653.81 to 654.38. Let me see. Let me see if I'll adjust this. Yeah, not too much, but price action beforehand to really give me the confirmation. But I would say at some point we got below 640, 654.38 on the 15-minute time frame. Um, we'll most likely get the push to this gap fill down here. Something I have noticed in moves like this right here, where we end up gapping, where previously the day before we have a kind of like a downside move like this right here, a slow downside move, and The next day if we're looking to get into price calls or puts the next day, and we get the gap up, and to know if it's still bullish, we get the gap up above our supply zone. That's usually a sign that if we wanted to continue seeing the downside, we would probably gapped up and stayed below 653.81, confirming that we cannot get this close right here below here. In this case, we did get the close above our, what we would be looking at in this case is 653.81 to kind of validate our inverse fair value gap. Our fair value gap would have been a little bit to the downside if we stay below it right here. But in this case, since we opened it above it and held above it, this is just a retest of our inverse fair value gap to confirm the upside. I moved it down to from 654.38 to 653.58. Right here, it just gets a little bit more tricky because this is all the price action we've really had to kind of base these levels off around. But from what I can see, is above 654.38. Our demand is till 655.95, and our supply below 658.19 is, yeah, I mean, I placed it on my 15-minute chart. I look at it on the 15-minute chart because obviously the 5-minute chart has a little bit more, a few more candles, and in this case, the 5-minute chart plays it off as well. We stay below our supply zone, get the retest all the way down to our key pivot. Let's see over here. Same thing. We stay above supply zone. We stay in the range between supply zone and key pivot. Above 658.19. 95, 93. 660.01, 660.74. Then after we get all these levels, we'll go over some things to look at, how we look at to get upside on the play, how to confirm upside, and things I look at to get all-time high levels, uh, which all time the way we draw up all-time high levels, we're not going to be 100% exactly. I don't think anybody can be 100% exactly without having previous price action to determine. But um, our, the strategy we've been using on our fib levels has been helping us a lot when it comes to all-time highs and finding price targets. All right, guys, and I think these are gonna be all my levels that I'm gonna be using to start off the week tomorrow. So if we manage to stay below 664.39, I'll probably be looking, depending on the price action, I'll probably be looking for push back down to 661.59, to demand down here between 661.59 and 660.74. We managed to hold above 664. This is our zone over here. We break below 660.74. We have our price targets below down here. I think on Friday we had a few more different levels, but than we have now. But I'm gonna think this is my. We're just gonna be going over on our play on Friday and what the things we looked at to take it. All right, so just give me one sec, guys. I'm gonna go back to when I called it out. So I called out 664 calls at 9:56 a.m. my time. 9:56, 9:55, 9:56. Let's go to the 5 minute time frame since we're just gonna be looking at Friday. Okay, so I bought calls somewhere around this zone right here. This is on Friday. Yeah. The thing I was looking at from calls, I think I had some previous levels before this, but the way my what I was thinking of calls is I seen that we had really slow price action throughout the day, throughout the morning that morning. So when I got calls, I was looking at a previous level that I had that we were retesting down here. In this case, it still matches up really well. I was looking for a hold of demand. In this case right here, we couldn't hold above demand. We pushed down the key pivot right here. Um, the key pivot ended up holding on the 15-minute time frame, which I think the previous level I had was this tested demand, which both levels held up really well. Some people's levels are going to be a little bit more different than other people's levels, so that's why it's always good to draw up levels. And when I draw up levels and send them in the chat, in the chart analysis section in my Discord, it's always good to try to compare our each other's levels. It's you know because sometimes we look at some things a little bit different than other people, but if we compare, don't judge other people's levels. Um, there's no other options but to better we're gonna better use ourselves each day. So the first thing I was looking at right here is we held demand zone right here. The thing I was looking at right here is I already had a previous support that I was looking at, and right here it held it. So when I started drawing up charts and everything and sending them to you guys, I had originally drawn up this level right here, which 664.59. We break above 661.59. It's it starts invalidating the FEG. So in this case, if it breaks above 659, 661.59, I'm looking for the next price target to be the next top of the next staircase, which in this case is, I think I drew this up for you guys after. We break above 661.59, we get the push to 662.39. We break above 662.39. We're looking at for another staircase break over here, and then every single staircase break and hold, we ended up getting our push to supply zone. So it's really not that complicated to kind of figure out price action throughout the day and everything. I look at a lot of JEX as well, GEX, however you guys want to say to kind of help me determine the range that we're looking at, or if it's invalidating my levels right here. So like let's say we have a lot of volume coming in on GEX 664, which I'm pretty sure on Friday we also did have a lot of GEX on 664, 65 section. And that's why I was looking at for our bottom ranges right here to hold. As soon as our bottom ranges right here hold, I'm looking the first the first look I was looking at right here is this 661.59 level to break, because that's the staircase. We break above the staircase. Now the trend has flipped. And if you guys don't know about it, I would recommend to look it up on YouTube. It's called fair value gaps or inverse fair value gaps, IFVG or FVGs. I'm pretty sure there's somebody that could probably explain it a lot better than I can, but that's my easiest way to explaining things on like on it helps us determine trends and everything. Like in this case right here, I'm gonna describe the trend to the downside right here. We push below, we held below supply zone right here. We're pushing below. Now this is gonna be the next staircase. We push below right here, held up a little bit, staircase, push down right here. We can't push above 663.13. The trend is still below right here. Now the next stair now we're looking at the next big candle that brought us down, which is 662.94. Now we're looking at as that for the next staircase right here. Now we need a break above 662.94 to invalidate this staircase for continuation to the upside. But in this case right here, when we couldn't break this staircase right here, we got the push all the way down to demand. We held demand right here. We can't get the push above this next staircase right here. So our new staircase is 662.49. We start pushing below 62.49, back to demand zone, push below demand zone, push down the key pivot right here. So like I said, guys, if you guys have any questions on that aspect, I'm not sure how well I'm explaining it on fair value gaps and all that stuff, but the main things I look at right here is I use my fair value gaps a lot with my EMAs on both my 9 and my 15-minute time frame, because when the fair value gap is holding up, the a 9 EMA usually follows up to kind of shows like a trend. In this case right here, we see it hold up a lot on the 5-minute time frame. As soon as we get a good push up, a little bit of the volume fades away. Go to the 15-minute. We just see on the 15-minute it catches up on the EMAs. Boom, we hit price targets. So that's just things that help me hold cons for price targets, hold runners and stuff like that. Now the next thing we're gonna look at is how we get levels to the upside when we are at, and the same way I use all these levels right here, the same way I draw up all these levels right here on the 5 and the 15-minute time frame, I pretty much do the same thing on the hourly time frame. It's the same thing, just in an hourly form, but just look at a lot of hourly open and closes, and that way you can kind of get a bigger look into the data we're getting on that day. Next thing we're going to look at is how we get levels to the upside at all-time highs. Well, to get levels to the upside, the main things I look at is I usually use my fib. I click the fib retracement indicator on TradingView, line it up with my level right here, 660.74. I line it up with my key pivot from one key pivot to the other, 660.74. Line it up with my key pivot at 664.39. So I like my 168 fib right here, but I usually drop the 168 fib as a red level, and then the the next price target I have once we start breaking the 664.39 level and start holding above that level is 670.30. That's the only time I use fibs. As far as fibs, a lot of people use fibs to get their just to get levels in general. Something I will say about fibs is I love fibs. I think they work really well. But fibs is when I use fibs, I pretty much get the same things as my levels are giving me. It's just my levels give me a chance to be a little bit more closer to the cent that I wanted to. But other than that, guys, I think I'm pretty much done in here. Yeah, I can show my indicator again. But yeah, I'm pretty much done in here, guys. If you guys have any questions or anything, just make sure to let me know real quick before anything. I think I recorded the whole thing. I think everything recorded really well. So I'll put it on a Google Drive, and I'll probably drop the video tomorrow night for you guys so you guys can study it. But even intraday, guys, I usually just draw you guys up my charts the whole time as I'm into a play and everything. We look at the same things. I try to keep my charts as simple as possible. BWAP, 9 EMA, and the SR channel. The SR channel sometimes when price action gets a little bit too choppy, it draws up a lot of zones, but I like it because when it draws up a lot of zones, I can kind of it helps me determine that these are areas where there's a lot more choppy price action at, or if we or at all-time high breaks. If the zone lines up really well with my level at all-time high breaks, then I'll take it. Or in general, if a zone lines up really well with my level, I'm probably taking it. But sometimes I like to have this indicator off because too many things on my charts at once. You guys know I like to keep my charts nice and simple. Just depends on how you're playing paddles. How do you grow a small account in terms of positioning, sizing, and risk? Like let's say if you got 1,000, I'll probably some people say run 5%, but I'll probably be running like 100, 150 max. To get into a play about maybe 150, and with lotto sizes of 75 to $100. That's how. But it's every day is a grinding process. Um, this isn't a quick get rich quick scheme. Um, this is something you work through every single day to get to the validation and be happy that once you get there, it's because you put in that work to know that you got there. And it's just a grinding process throughout the day. I wouldn't say this is a get rich quick thing, but it can definitely help. And if it's like casino, it's just if you got a lot more data to back up your thesis on things. VWAP, I use it whenever we're like in this case right here. I was looking for a push back above to VWAP. If VWAP kind of helps me determine if we're having like a choppy day, I like to push this back to VWAP. Sometimes if it's a little bit of a choppy day right here, in this case we lose VWAP and we hold below EMAs. I like to push down to the downside right here. In this case, I see we've been holding below VWAP. We break the man zone. We break VWAP and keep in my EMA. If we manage to hold above both, I got higher price targets. But VWAP sometimes just helps me catch reversals and stuff like that, or helps me determine the chop and the range on certain zones. Because if it's choppy, we usually like to somehow, some way, we get a push up, we're gonna get a push view up and stuff like that. In this case right here, if you wanted to catch this, if you wanted to catch the push back down, we could look at the staircase down, hold below key pivot, use VWAP to determine, okay, from up here, VWAP is first price target, we hold VWAP. Same case right here, we start pushing below VWAP and EMA. Price targets is now over here, but in this case, it happened the next day. Oh yeah, of course, guys, and we're all in the same Discord anyway. So if you guys have any questions at some point or anything, you guys are always welcome to ask me any questions. Or if you guys draw up levels and you guys want me to kind of look at them to see how I like them and drop them in the training floor, you guys are more than welcome to, and I can check them out once I have a chance. But I see there's not really any more questions, guys. So I appreciate you guys for stopping by. My bad, guys. I had to cough. I appreciate you guys for stopping by and shoot. Let's lock in. Let's try to keep trading as simple as possible. We don't need too many things on our chart. The more simple, like I always tell you guys, the number one thing to trading is your mental. So keep that in check. Keep everything looking simple, smooth. You'll do great. But all right, guys. I appreciate you guys and take care.